If you're an experienced musician, you may have toyed with the idea of taking music lessons again or studying music theory to refresh your knowledge or maybe learn something new, but for whatever reason, you may have convinced yourself that you don't really need to take lessons anymore. Perhaps you found yourself hitting a plateau in your musical abilities, or maybe you're in a creative rut, but I'm curious about how learning music can help even the most experienced musicians improve their playing and their creativity. Welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, I like to explore topics related to music, creativity, songwriting, and art. I want to share some of my creative insights to help you create more art. I've been a singer for my whole life, and I've been playing guitar for about 17, coming up on 18 years now, believe it or not. I taught myself to play guitar using an old textbook that I found at a local music store. It's only in recent years that I decided I wanted to take up music lessons again, specifically guitar lessons, and delve back into music theory and kind of refresh my knowledge. I think there were two main things that stopped me from taking music lessons. One was the fear of failure, and two, I was really embarrassed that I have been playing for this long, but yet I felt stuck at kind of like an intermediate level. And it just felt like if I take lessons, then I'm admitting that I can't play as well as I want to. So last year, I finally faced my fears and I started taking guitar lessons and kind of relearning music theory. I want to share some of the insights that I gained about how music theory and taking lessons can help you in your creativity as a songwriter and just in your abilities as a musician, even as an older, more experienced musician. So if music is like a language, then studying and practicing music theory and taking lessons helps us to understand the language of music more fluently. Think of it like this. So by taking lessons, studying, and practicing music theory, it's almost like we're practicing conversing with someone in a foreign language, with someone who speaks it more fluently. We're bound to pick up and understand that language more fluently the more frequently we practice it. Playing alone and practicing what you do know already is good and it's really important, but it's by studying and learning with others who are more proficient in music and at teaching it that our musical understanding grows in depth. Kurt Vile rocks. Kurt Vile fans represent. Music lessons and theory give us context for what we already do know. This context helps us to connect what we know together. When I recently started taking guitar lessons, I kind of felt insecure. I know a thing or two, but I felt like I was insecure in my knowledge and my playing level, considering how long I'd been playing guitar for. As I began studying and practicing music theory and guitar on a more intermediate level, I kind of realized something really interesting, that I already knew the theory that I was learning, but I hadn't really connected it together. I may have known the notes and I knew about the scales and I knew about chord degrees and I knew about chord progressions and I understood the fretboard of a guitar. It's like I was playing blindly because I hadn't connected these things together. So it's a bit like trying to play a video game without having the map. You might get stuck somewhere, you might get lost. I was playing guitar with only like half of the map available to me. Half the time when I would be writing a song or just, even just improvising, I would get stuck. I would be like in a rut because I would get to a point where it's just like, okay, well, I hit the wall of my knowledge and I couldn't connect the rest of it together. I don't know if this is something you've experienced where you end up just playing the same sort of riffs over and over again or just like noodling very similar things. I think this is the result of not having enough confidence in your musical knowledge in a way. So by taking lessons, I'm kind of expanding on what I already know and connecting the fretboard. So when I sit down to play now, I actually feel like I understand it more clearly. I just feel a lot more confident when I understand the connections between different music theories and the actual playing on a day-to-day basis. Another way that music lessons can help us as experienced players is getting us out of the dreaded rut. So when you first start learning a new skill, you initially progress at a really rapid speed. But over time, as you're learning something, you start to plateau. And that's when you start to feel like you're stuck at the intermediate level or as a beginner and you can't really advance to the next level. When we reach a plateau, we don't really make gains easily, no matter how much we practice. So I was practicing a lot, every day, sometimes hours a day. This is what I mean by practicing alone is not enough. We need to be learning new things, we need to be refreshing our knowledge, studying theory, perhaps having a teacher or instructor, someone who kind of pushes us beyond our comfort zone. I think that just practicing alone doesn't bring you gains because you're not in a learning mindset. Music lessons and studying music theory more from like a learning mindset rather than just practicing can help us to build our skill set to get over those plateaus. So if you have already taken music lessons and you feel like you're a really experienced musician, you might be thinking, well, music theory, what can it teach me? I already understand it. I've already taken the lessons. But while music theory itself isn't necessarily changing, the way that we understand it and teach about it is. And you might be missing out on a fresh perspective that could help you get out of your plateau. By not taking lessons and by not studying theory again, you might actually be missing out on a fresh perspective that could really help you enhance your playing, enhance your understanding of music, because there's so many different methods of teaching and talking about music. Like I mentioned before, I didn't really realize that I'd known a lot more things about guitar than I actually thought I did, if that makes sense. It's just that having a teacher kind of explain it or express it in a certain way made me realize like, oh, I know this, I needed to sort of relearn it, refresh myself, and maybe learn it from the eyes of the teacher who might have something new to teach me about what I already know. It could really, really, really enhance your playing and your creative abilities. And this video is going to have a lot of bloopers. I should not have delved into the YouTube sphere, but here I am. You're welcome. Simply put, learning is good for you. It consistently challenges you in a good way, and over time it helps you to become more confident, because as you kind of make little gains, as you grow, you'll feel like so encouraged and motivated to keep learning, keep practicing, and keep improving. So honestly, if you really want to rock their socks off, forget sex, drugs, and rock and roll. Music lessons is where it's at. So take them privately. If you're embarrassed about it, it's okay. No one needs to know. Even some of the best musicians, like the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, our idols, cult icons, they're taking music lessons, some of them, and you should too. Seriously. While creativity can't be taught exactly, we can be better prepared to be musically creative when we have the right knowledge and the tools under our belts, or in our guitar cases. The bonus tip of the day: don't beat yourself up for making mistakes. Forgive yourself, not even forgive yourself, but just give yourself the allowance to make mistakes in music. Seriously. They're a fact of making music, they're a fact of learning about music, and honestly, just a fact of life. He was always 1,000 miles away while still standing in front of your face. I'll be making more regular talks on music, on creativity, and songwriting. So if you like these kinds of creative talks, please hit the like, share, subscribe, hit the little ding if you want to get notifications. And I have a Patreon now. I'm an independent artist that makes music and now videos, so if you want to help support my channel, you can become a patron. I'll put the links below in the description box. If you have any more specific questions or topics you'd like me to cover on this new Songwriting Sunday segment, please let me know in the comments section. Be excellent to each other and keep rocking. Bill and Ted fans, anyone? Alright. And this concludes the Songwriting Sunday. Carry on with your day, enjoy your afternoon tea. We'll see you next time.